Hey, so how do I make it bigger?
That's what she said. Hi, fans of high quality entertainment today. As you can see, there are Sparks fans here, including me, and we're talking about Sparks' 1974 album Propaganda, which will celebrate its 50th year. November 11th in the UK is when it was released, you said, Monty. And so I became a Sparks fan 50 years ago, seeing them on the Midnight Special. And the first album I bought was Kimono My House. And just, I don't know, like 2 or 3 months later, this came out. And I loved it right away. It's very, I think they're pretty similar too, like unlike some other Sparks albums coming up. Uh, so yeah, it's always been one of my favorites. And so next we'll go to Morris, and Morris, tell us how you became a Sparks fan and about this album.
Well, I became a Sparks fan after seeing the trailer for the documentary of the Sparks Brothers, and I went out and bought Kimono My House right away and I loved it. But it was when I bought this one right after it. It was the next one that was available. So luckily, they had it at the store. And then as soon as I listened to it, it instantly became my favorite, and still is my favorite because it's just it's those lyrics. Those lyrics are just the best.
Yeah.
And the music, of course, it rocks.
Yeah. And Joe.
Okay. I became a fan around March of 1975 when I was like in I was in the uterus still. I wasn't even born. Yeah. But and I know it was that because all the fan club correspondence starts in March of 1975 because I bought Kimono My House after seeing them on I think Don Kirshner's rock concert, right? And I ran out to the store to Peaches. That was a store at the time in Denver, Colorado, where I lived. Bought that, ran home, listened to it, and then I ran out and bought Propaganda, which was already out because I bought Kimono kind of at the end, not when it first came out. So I was lucky to be able to get that one, and then I got the first two albums right after. So I kind of been there for a long time and only had to digest four albums.
Yeah.
And Propaganda was my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And Heidi.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a newbie compared to everyone else here, I think. But yeah, my husband and I got recommended the Sparks Brothers documentary when it was streaming. And one of his very good friends is a lifelong Sparks fan and thought we would like it. And we watched it and I enjoyed it. It wasn't love at first sight quite yet, but I did know that I liked something about these guys. And I mentioned to my husband, I think I might want to try to, listen to more of them. I think they're kind of cool. And of course, he remembered that at Christmas time. And he got me the Past Tense compilation and a CD of Kimono and of Propaganda. So that was my first kind of entree into Sparks and the obsession that it kind of has become for me.
And is your husband a fan too?
He has grown to really enjoy them.
Yeah.
He of course, he's more of a rock and roll guy. So when it comes to the whole Number One in Heaven era and everything, he really wasn't sure about it, but he's really actually come to enjoy that too. Yeah. He said, if you had told me when I was 10 years old that I would love that era, he said I would have thought you were lying. So
yeah.
He's liking it. So I'm converting him.
Yeah, that's good. And Monty.
I'll keep it short. It's basically Larry's story. Saw them. So whenever you hear Larry tell his story, it's really me too. Saw him on those old shows. And the thing is, I picked it up for $2.39. This is the original copy that I got. Let's see, this way. This is the original copy that I got back at the National Record Mart for $2.39. Nice. And for me, it was like Kimono and Propaganda were both out when I got them, and they were just two sides of the same coin. And I just listened to them incessantly together and then went back and discovered the first two.
Morris has a really good question about this. I don't know if anybody has this particular CD of Sparks, but ask the question there, Morris, because
Does anybody know about what that is with the made to measure? Because Larry and I, we can't find it online or anything. We don't have a clue what that is. It's an oddity for sure.
Okay.
What is that?
I don't know what.
It's called. It says "Made to Measure," presented by Sparks, and it shows like a stand with their
with
two of their
jackets on it.
two jackets on it, and and a pair of glasses in the corner. Like, it's a mystery to me.
I do remember a reference to it from years ago, but I
Me
don't
too.
remember what that reference is. You
I
too,
mean,
Jeff?
now my cat jumped up. Yeah, I don't either, but I remember seeing that. You know, like when you, I remember seeing that visual. But
Yeah.
where? But I don't know what that meant.
I think maybe it's like a compilation of songs that Ron and Russell like or something, or
Yeah,
that could be.
it could be, but it's not. It never has come up in anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
But but not that I'm that much of an expert to know everything in Europe and whatever, right? So
But Joe, you remember like some reference to it from years ago?
yeah, I mean, when I saw that picture, it's like, yeah, it's, I don't know if it was in the fan club, newsletter, or saw it someplace. Um,
Yeah.
Let me call up Ron Mael and I'll ask.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
Well,
yeah, he should. Let's see. Yeah, he should be done with his breakfast by now.
I've been calling him for quite a while, but somehow he hasn't been returning my calls. But he is an open invitation to come on my show, of course. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
one
Now,
of these days.
did any of you besides me and Morris rank the songs?
I saw that yesterday, and I quickly was listening, looking at it. So I tried to do my ranking as of yesterday. It could change as of today, but
Yeah, of course.
let me just do like,
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. I agree. It was very difficult.
Yeah.
It is,
We're getting right into the rankings.
That's right.
Rankings.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Well, what would you like to do first, Monty?
Oh no, it's your show. Your show.
No, it's our show. No.
You
General
directed.
discussion about what this album means to people, and
Yes.
I would really like to hear why you think it's so important to the fan base.
Like Morris says, the lyrics are just. It might be. I think also between Propaganda and Indiscreet, maybe my favorite Ron Mael lyrics. Would anybody else kind of agree?
No, that definitely grabbed me too. The music, but the lyrics. And I was young, so I didn't have like a lot of insight behind anything. It's just my gut, right? And to me they're very cinematic anyway. So this was like movie music and some wacky movie, and it's fast and it's dramatic and it's pretty, but they always have these lyrics like we've talked about that like achoo, right? Well, it's about a sneeze, but there's more to it than that,
Right.
And so, and that's what I love that about this album, even with the beginning songs, it just, I think I'm a little ADHD, a little hyper person anyway. So the first few songs were like, yeah, they connect, they locked, locked and loaded. And then I love singing those things that fast, so I think to me, they kind of resonated with that wacky part of me and that hyper part. But the lyrics were always so, great. I look at him now and I think, wow, he's so smart. He's a genius, But it means 20 things besides what you think on the surface.
Yeah, and I love the conflict or the contradiction between a lot of their songs where the music sounds like it would be really, really happy, like a happy song. But if you listen to the lyrics, not so much, right?
Yeah, like never turn your back on Mother Earth, right? It's
Right.
beautiful, and then you gaze at clouds that come down crashing. I think that line all the time. I'm always looking at clouds, and that comes in my head.
Yeah.
It's like,
Grasp at straws that don't want grasping.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, but it's unattainable. It's like dangerous. Don't mess with it. But it's it throws you off at first. You're singing these lyrics, and you think, wait, this is a little off. This is a little sad. This is a little scary. But I like it.
The perception at the time too. I remember reading the anecdote about how Ron had said that he heard that Ray Davis of the Kinks, of course, my other favorite band, didn't get it. You know, we kind of lumped them in with, you know, a hippie type song about tree huggers and stuff like that. But it kind of, I think, pleased Ron that one of the people that he looked up to didn't get one of his songs.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
So, Larry, maybe we should have Heidi rank all her favorite brother bands.
Oh, yeah, really. That Kings, Oasis.
I know, isn't that weird?
First would be Hanson, and then Sparks. Nothing
forget
against
Hanson.
Hanson, by the way. I think they are very talented.
They are talented.
Yeah. Not my type of music, but yeah.
Yeah.
But just looking
I
at
love
the
every
first
note they've ever produced.
Yeah. Just looking at the first two lines of "Don't leave me alone with her," the exodus is on, the impetus is gone. I don't even know what that like means, but it's so like what other songwriter would write lines like that?
I know.
Well, if you follow Metasparks and Ron Barrett's take on it, you know, it could mean a lot. Again, he thinks he's talking about the band and everything. So that's a possibility.
I mean, now years later they have all this Metasparks and stuff, but at the time, you know, my little 17-year-old brain would only know, you know, I'm literally taking this, you know, but I thought they were just genius, like a Hitler wearing heels, a soft Simon Legree, you know. I just thought they were so smart because they knew all this history and everything, you know. So I guess resonated with that, but it just was, to me, funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, now I think sinister now, but
you know, I mean, the Metasparks is great and it's very interpretive, but I always come back to this idea that if you just take the words for face value, well, one, they're hard enough to understand, but two, if you do have a sense, like on Bon Voyage, it's about the animals that didn't make the ark, or BC, it's about a family breaking up. That's enough. I mean, these lyrics, you can interpret and interpret. It's like an onion, and you can go and peel away layers, or you can just say, these are really amazing lyrics about whatever it is the topic happens to be in the song.
That's how I took it, being that young. You know,
that's still how I take most of it, to be honest.
Me too.
Although I have nothing but love and admiration for Paul.
Yeah, I think that's what was so attractive to me about this band, and so sad that I didn't know them a year ago, and just so excited and happy to be discovering all of this work. And it's just, I think the more you delve into them, the more interesting they become too.
Yeah.
And they stay interesting. I mean, after all these years, you know, I mean, they keep putting things out, right? But I mean, we didn't know how long this was going to last when I joined the fan club in March of 1975, you know, still in the fan club. It's a little different, but you know, and buying every album that comes out. I just bought the Annette thing, you know, that, you know, just because I'm such a fan, but you know, even just revisiting it, you know, I just go back to my little teenage self reading these lyrics, you know, like face value, like Monty says.
You couldn't possibly imagine that they would now be leaving Virgin or get kicked off of Virgin or whatever to join some progressive, you know, some small independent label to do something brand new at this point in their career. I mean, you could never have projected this. No,
I didn't know I was going to be alive 50 years later, but here I am.
I thought when they kind of after interior design, where in my opinion they seemed to be petering out a bit, and then there was this break with the trying to make a movie career, and that didn't work. I kind of thought that might have been a logical place where it could have just, you know, they could have gone their own ways, but nope.
Yeah,
they were just behind the scenes. I mean, we've kind of went through that journey. Thankfully for the fan club, they'd always put out a newsletter with something in it, you know. So I knew they were still, you know, they went to breakfast at the farmer's market, but you know, it's okay. They're still alive.
Well, I guess they couldn't really break up.
No. Yeah. And that they don't know to do anything else, right? So
I don't know what they would do. I want to talk. I have a question for you guys about the lyrics, though, because it always seemed to me that sometimes you get these amazingly dense lyrics, and sometimes those were, I thought, his best lyrics. Not always, but as a rule, to me, it seemed like when these lyrics are so dense. You look at home, at work, at play. It's just one line after another.
A lot.
And it seems like he just was putting so much in there. It's so idiosyncratic, isn't it?
I think it had to have been such a amazingly creative time for Ron, especially because I know on the 40th anniversary edition of Kimono, there's this letter that Russell writes to the fans or whatever, and he basically says, when we went to England with our suitcase, we didn't have this huge, massive backlog of ideas of songs and things. And so to think that in this short period of time, Kimono and probably parts of Propaganda were being written, and all of this was just coming out of him at this time.
Yeah, the lyrics are just like on another level.
And poor Russell had to sing them,
Right.
like all those words.
But no
right?
breaths. I mean, he learned
Yeah.
how to sing without.
Yeah.
No. So I understand that.
Yeah.
Being a singer, trying to sing a lot. Yeah, like he decided, I want to write 10,000 words and I'm going to put them in this one album. So the songs have to be fast because we got to get them all in.
Right.
Hello, such a boy. It's like, and I sing along with it and I could keep up. I might not remember all the lyrics right now.
Yeah.
Today.
It all seemed very consistent with the lyrical point of view that you had on Kimono.
Mm-hmm.
So it all seemed to me. Listen, I had an old tape player, and I had on one side of the cassette I had Propaganda, and on the other I had Kimono, and I would just let them loop and loop and loop, and it was just like, well, here's 20 or 21 songs that are all great, all coming from the same place, all of these amazing stories.
Yeah. And to follow, Kimono was their first big album, right? And usually for a band to follow it up, especially within a few months, it's usually, the next album usually is a bit of a letdown. But with Propaganda, I feel it's as good, if not better, than Kimono My House.
Yeah, I definitely think of them as a part 1 and part 2, or an A and a B, continuation.
Yeah, continuation. Yeah. Definitely. Especially I bought them almost back to back. It just seemed like, one in one hand, I was lucky enough to get them both with a relatively short time of each other and be just like bombarded and amazed and in love with right away.
And Morris mentioned something about this cover, which is very interesting. So tell your theory there.
Well, again, going off on what Paul Barrett said in Metasparks, when you look at the cover, okay, it's Ron and Russell being kidnapped by the band, okay? It's like, they want to get away from the band somehow, and so it was like, who is Russell calling to get away from the band? It's pretty obvious. They're trapped inside the car, and even some of the lyrics inside kind of reference that in a bit. Where did I see that about hearing the engine revving? You can hear the loudness of the revving, and the more I looked at that, and the more I think about what Paul Barrett was saying, I seem to think it's on point. It's really on. I think that's what that represents, is them being kidnapped by the band, and that's their way of letting people know, yep, that's what's happening. And the poor band is clueless about what's going to happen.
Love that one. That's my favorite cover.
Yeah.
Not just of Sparks, but of many in general.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I just love that cover. I'm still, when I see that, I have the little 45 here, but I also have the album and the CD. To me, it's like cinematic. Oh, this is going to be exciting. Before I even put it on the turntable.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe there's something wrong with me, but I would spend hours looking at the picture, and I'm thinking they're calling Mary Martin. Help us, and then to me it was like the band's trying to make him do something, but also to me, outside forces are trying to make them be like more normal, not smart, and so they're going to try to kidnap us, but we'll get away because we're Sparks.
Here it is in the lyrics there for something for the girl with everything. Here's a really pretty car. I hope it takes you far. I hope it takes you fast and far. Wow, the engine's really loud. Nobody's going to hear a thing you say. Something in the, something for the girl with everything. And if you believe in what Paul Barrett says, the girl is Ron's muse, his music. So I think that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I love the back too, where not only do you have the band over here, but then you've got this guy servicing the car that has no idea what's happening.
Like da 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 da. I know. I mean,
That's
I looked
true.
at that album for hours, and
Mhm.
I
everyone's
never really
giving.
thought about that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's
You think
that guy?
like
That's
he's in
Muff
on it.
Winwood. That's
Yeah,
Muff
really.
Winwood. He's tinkering with the engine.
Yeah, really. He's tinkering with stuff that he's not supposed to. You know, and make him go their way. You know, go the straight narrow way instead of the Ron and Russell way, which is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes me love it. I love it. Just it's so good.
Yeah.
So are we going to get into the rankings now?
Well, I hope so at some point. That's the
Yeah.
whole point to this show. Okay. I'll just quickly go through my ranking, but I just want to say I love each and every song. Okay.
It's
So
hard to
number
rank.
11 is Propaganda, just because it's hard to dance to, and it's only 20 seconds long. But I think it's one of the great openings for an album, and how it goes into at home, at home, at work, at play. Number 10 is BC, which I think will be much higher on Morris's. Yeah, look at the look he's given me. BC, which I love. Number 9 is a Chew. The only thing I do kind of wish they had kept Adrian Fisher's guitar solo at the end of the track instead of the choose, sneezing. It would be interesting to at least hear it. I wonder. I think they erased it, but it would be nice if on a future, if they re-release this or whatever, they still have
Alternate
that
track.
guitar solo. Then thanks but no thanks at number 8. Number 7, Something for the Girl with Everything, which is kind of the only time. It's almost like a kind of similar to This Town Ain't Big Enough for Both of Us, in a way. Number 6, Never Turn Your Back on Mother Earth. Number 5, Don't Leave Me Alone with Her. Number 4, Who Don't Like Kids. I love that riff, that the ending of the song with the guitar that just goes on and on and on. I love that.
Yeah.
Number 3, Bon Voyage. Number 2, Reinforcements. And number 1, At Home, at Work, at Play.
Okay.
It's a
Oh,
good
I
ranking.
agree with number 11, Propaganda, for sure. And I'm sorry, Larry, but Who Don't Like Kids got to number 10. It was Bon Voyage before, but that kind of moved up to number 9. So Bon Voyage is at number 9. And number 8 would be Turn Your Back on Mother Earth. I like it. I like it a little bit, just a little bit more than Bon Voyage and Who Don't Like Kids. Now, don't ask me why I'm not crazy for those songs as much. I mean, they're still 8.5s out of 10s. No problem. Never Turn Your Back on Mother Earth got a 9.5. But everything after is 10 out of 10. So from 7 to 1, they're all 10 out of 10s. At number 7 is Achu. I mean, yeah, I do like that. But yeah, you're right. It would have been cool to hear that solo for sure. Number 6 is Thanks But No Thanks. Number 5, Something for the Girl with Everything. And number 4, Don't Leave Me Alone with Her, because I really do love the lyrics on that.
Yeah.
And 3 of the best openers. Well, At Home and interchangeable with number 2. At Home, at Work, at Play is at number 3, but it could easily be number 2 for sure. BC, the first time I heard that was not the album version, but the live version for that. And something about the way it was all bouncy and just fun. And again, examining those lyrics is, what is he talking about exactly? Who's Aaron? Who's Betty? Who's Charlie? It's so captivating. And of course, number 1 for me is Reinforcements. Just the whole musicality of it, the way it plays out, and the whole perspective. You think he's talking about a soldier at war, but nope, he's talking about love. And and that whole spoken part is just so perfect. There's almost a tiny bit of just nonchalant, nonchalantness to it. That's why it became my favorite, and because of reinforcements and the rest of it, but mostly reinforcements. Well, the first three songs instantly made it my favorite album.
I know.
Because it was just a perfect way to open an album.
And this is why we rank the songs, Monty.
I want to hear what Heidi and Joe have to say.
Okay, Joe.
But I want the reinforcements is amazing, and
Yeah.
I love that spoken part. And right
Yeah.
there's two layers anybody can see. What you just pointed out, the love and the military, and now using the military as a metaphor for a love affair, brilliant.
And Joe.
Oh, okay, that's hard. I was changing things as we're talking because I'm like, today's a different day. But
You're trying to copy me. You can't.
I know. Well, 11, I had thanks but no thanks. I don't know. I just did. 10, who don't like kids? Even though I like the who don't like kids and the guitar part, right? I mean, like I said, it's like 9 point and then above. So none of these are. And then a 2. Don't leave me alone with her. Something for the girl with everything. Never turn your back on Mother Earth. Reinforcements. BC. I absolutely love that song when it was out, and I played that one probably the most because I probably like Aaron and Charlie and Betty. Bon Voyage. And then I have it 1, 2 together. The opening 2 songs, Propaganda, At Home, At Work, At Play. To me, they're like one song.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not paying attention, it's on that song and I'm singing it, At Home, At Work, At Play already. I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize it. So to me, they're 1 and 2 together.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And Heidi.
Yeah, I was thinking along the same lines there. I didn't have Propaganda as its own entry.
Yeah.
But again, I'm no expert. This is just going to be how I feel today, or yesterday, even the day that I wrote these. Trying to rank these is so difficult. But I had for number 10, I had Who Don't Like Kids. Number 9 is Bon Voyage, which I don't know how familiar everybody is about Annette, but I thought it was interesting how they had those little Easter eggs in Annette where they used Bon Voyage.
Yes.
And thanks but no thanks as well. So I think that's kind of cool how they worked this album into Annette in a way. I had Never Turn Your Back on Mother Earth for 8. Don't Leave Me Alone with Her is 7. Thanks but no thanks is 6. Something for the Girl with Everything at 5. Reinforcements I have at number 4. Achu is number 3 for me. Number 2, BC. And number 1 is, of course, At Home, At Work, At Play, which I have to say, I mean, that song made me a Sparks fan, honestly. I mean, the first time I heard it, it was everything I love about music, really. And when I saw their performance on, I think it was like From the Basement or In the Basement, it's on YouTube. But that got me into the kind of Sparks rabbit hole of discovering all the other videos of Sparks through the years and everything. And that really is what drew me into being an all-in Sparks fan. So that's why the album is just so special to me, because I don't think I'd be as hooked probably if it hadn't been for that song in particular.
Yeah. And imagine if, back in 1974, there were music videos. Just imagine what could have been with, some of these songs.
Yeah, and I found when I was really, listening to the song more, it blew me away once again when you're listening to the lyrics kind of on a surface level and learning the song and everything. But then you also hear the other layers of it as well. Like it took me a little while to recognize that Russell's singing along kind of in a different way, going, at home, at work, at play, while he's singing that whole other chorus, not the chorus, but the verse there. And it's amazing.
Yep.
Genius song.
Genius.
Yeah, we do have to give some props to Russell too.
Mhm.
It's not all about Ron.
No,
No,
it's
you got to
not.
love those singers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
he's amazing. You know, it's funny you'd mention at home work at play. I mean, because the in the interview that I'm going to release tomorrow in concert with this, my guest said that in his view, this at home work at play absolutely should have been a single. He felt it
Mhm.
was as strong as this town.
Yeah.
And since I am without question the worst at promo, my idea was to keep the name of my guest secret. But
Ooh.
for you guys, because I am the worst at promo, the worst. But I will tell you guys, it's Jim Wilson who played guitar with them for many years,
Yeah.
and he was
Wow.
on the 21 Nights Spectacular, and he was amazing. You guys
How
are going to love it.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
you're going to love it.
exciting. Great. I can't wait.
Yeah, he's the best. Um, yeah, so he just thought it should be a single. He thought
Mm.
they made a mistake there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Monty, this is
All
the
right, so
moment we've been waiting for.
I can't
Dun,
do
dun,
the I
dun.
can't I couldn't do it. I can't go through them because there's a reason why. It's because
There's
every one of
always
these.
a fan. I can't do a.
It's hard. It was
No,
so
it's because
hard.
every song evokes something very important to me. You know, so I can tell you that I think Who Don't Like Kids and a Chew maybe not quite at the same level as the others, but then you have something like Something for the Girl with Everything, which is such a fun song and so powerful, and the lyrics are, again, here's you can't escape the lyrics of how great they are. But then you have a couple songs like Thanks But No Thanks and Bon Voyage, which just have, I think those are the only two places on the album where they let the guitars kind of play out a little bit at the end. And I just love that. And I would just listen to that. And I still do, just listening to the guitars go and play. And so, you know, I'm not going to rank one of those over the other. I will say Bon Voyage is a song, and I talk about that in the conversation with Jim. And I don't want to repeat myself, but it just moves me in an emotional way that you'd think a song about silly animals who didn't make it on the ark would not be able to do. But I hear it, and it's just, oh my God, it's so beautiful. And then the way it goes into that guitar part at the end, you know, it's just great.
Beautiful.
But what I will say is BC, great Dinky Diamond drumming, you know, where he goes that BC, and they're just like these. I don't know, Joe, are they triplets or is it a rough? But it's like it's just so beautiful and so well done. So every one of these songs has so much meaning to me. But rather than go through it all again, the last thing I'll say is I personally can't think of an album that has a better opener than Propaganda and At Home at Work and Play Together. Boom. There you go.
Agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
How do you open an album like that? You know, it just immediately gets your attention with that.
It's like, what? You know, everybody in the room will stop. Well, except with me only, but still. and then, like I said, 20 seconds later, it's the next song, and you know, and you're still in that same thing, and it's going just as fast. You know,
they go right into those chords.
But what's wonderful about that is that with Propaganda as the opener, okay, they're referencing the Soldier Boy, and instead of making you wait later on in the album to talk about that, no, they do it right after the first song in Reinforcements. That the references from Reinforcements is from that opening.
Yeah,
you know, they don't make you wait for it.
Nope.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, those three together, like bam, bam, bam. Like Reinforcements is one of my favorite songs to drive around singing along. Still to today, I'm singing my heart out and loud in the car, and I won't come in the house until that song's done if I'm listening to it in the pool in the garage.
Yeah,
and I don't think we can say enough about what Morris was talking about with the spoken part that comes in the middle.
Oh yeah, I love that part.
Yeah,
you know,
I love it.
I was listening
worth
to it the other day.
repeating.
So wonderful.
Yeah,
and the way Russell sings so fast. The first time you're trying to follow along with the lyric, you can't even keep up with with what he's singing, right? Like
it's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
He got me into good practice singing though, because later on I was in my own band, punk, all-girl female punk band, and some of the people wrote songs with a lot of lyrics, and I had good training, so I could do it.
Cool.
You know, and I did do it. You know, and I even wrote a couple myself, and I had a lot of lyrics because I thought, here's my turn to like give myself time to breathe. No,
How
If
cool is
Russell can
that?
do it, if Russell can do it, I can do it.
And speaking of lyrics, when I first bought Kimono My House here in Canada, it didn't come with the lyric sheet.
Oh
And then later
no.
on, a friend of mine bought the album like a few months later, and it came with the lyrics. And it's like, oh, finally, I can understand. I can figure out what he's been
Yeah.
singing, right?
Yeah, because there's a lot you might miss,
Yeah,
like lyrics over the
yeah,
years, right? You think, oh, I thought they were saying that. Probably because I didn't even know what that meant, so I made it mean something I knew at the time, right?
yeah.
Like, oh, that's not what they're talking about at all.
I wonder if Ron ever got any flack, from the powers that be at the time about, trying to put so much substance into the songs, and not making the simple pop songs that everybody
I
can
don't
sing
think so
along with
because Kimono was a big hit for them, right? So
in England, right?
yeah, in England, yeah,
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 yeah.
Here. Hmm.
yeah,
The
Those
Americans
Americans are a
clearly
little
are not
slow.
smart enough to pick up
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
that
that
out.
was too sophisticated for them.
Well, that
Americans.
seems to get reinforced a lot. So yeah, I would say that's probably some truth to that.
Yep.
Well, hearing that, they thought it was so odd that they had the following that they did for a while of the young teenage girls, because they're listening to songs about these topics, and are you really listening to the lyrics, or you
Yeah.
just Russell's so cute, which he
Yeah.
is, but I
Ron,
mean,
Ron was my guy. So
Yeah.
as a teenager, I loved Ron. So
Yeah.
like I said, there may be something wrong with me,
no,
but
they're both great.
because Russell was beautiful, but I wanted Ron.
Yeah.
One of the
Well,
themes
his
that I
orders
always
come
come
from
back.
above him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the themes that I always come back to in my mind and on the show is this idea of all the dualities with this band, and just all the things that you guys are talking about is it. Like here they are appealing to all these teeny boppers, while they also have these sophisticated college students, who are listening and analyzing the lyrics and all that, and they're all in the same audience together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you get the
There's a
lyrics
place
to
for both.
this album. The whole album is that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who else writes lyrics like, my orders come from high above me, about a foot or two above me?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what? Who writes like that?
Yeah.
But it's genius. Again,
Here's the-
genius.
I know, and then it was to me, it was so funny too. So it appealed to my sense of humor, but also I used to read all these books that were beyond my probably comprehension, but I wanted to be smart. So this is perfect. And then they're the perfect duo. Like you said, you have Ron who looked like he walked out of the bank and sat down and started playing. And then you have this perfect teeny bopper of the time, singer Russell. And I like them together. I mean, you have to have them together. It's like this guy's writing these maniacal songs, and they're this angelic singer singing them the best that he can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so visually compelling. It's just
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I was Ron.
Hey Joe, remember back in the newsletter days, and when they would occasionally have pictures, and you would see these pictures of Russell like with his arms around Ron while he was singing.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And Ron would have his usual look like, "Oh my God, how long do I have to put up with this?"
Yeah, leave me alone. I'm busy. Kind of thing. And he's like,
it really captured it. It was like this one guy who's all effervescent.
I love
He's
when
like-
when Sparks were on Saturday Night Live and Russell's by Ron, and Ron plugs his ear.
I just love that play between them over the years. The newsletters would have it.
Yeah,
I
it
wrote
shows
the
the love they have for each other too. Like
love and respect and admiration.
yeah,
Clearly,
that still there.
it shows the visual, the appreciation for the visual aspect, which was always there, even from when Russell was coming out in a little paper mache boat,
Right.
Way back with the old days, and they always had the sense of the visual, and here they were able to realize it and put it together.
Well, like I said, they're very cinematic. I think they saw their stuff as movies, right?
Mhm.
And even just pictures, because we didn't have as many videos back then, right? It wasn't around. So a picture to me would come alive. I mean, I look at these pictures so much that I think they probably were moving. After a while, you just kind of fill in the blanks, and then you would, now I could look back at things from the time and went, wow, I wish I had this back then, but the technology wasn't there yet.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
geniuses.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I'm waiting for Monty to say something because
Yeah.
you come up with some interesting things to.
I'm
talk
going
about.
out of my way not to say anything
No,
on
no,
the theory
Oh,
that
no,
people
no,
hear
I want
way
you
too
to.
much
Yeah.
from me, and we don't hear
No.
anything from the rest of you guys.
No,
So
no,
Well, that's
I
true.
want.
But we
Yeah.
thank you, Joe. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I
Do you have
watch all
anything
your
you
See,
videos.
want
Joe
to
I
add?
agreed
love
that
them.
people hear way too much from me. So
No.
oh,
Joe is my guy. So
we known each other for a long time.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
we
Yeah.
have,
Actually, he knows my husband longer than I know my husband, but that's a whole other story.
Oh.
which we're happy to tell.
Yeah,
But
Sparks. We met him at Sparks show.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we came with
Oh,
Monty. Well, because of Monty, but at a Sparks-orama.
nice. That's cool.
well, if I were to say anything, it would be to ask just where do people think this fits in to this 50-year career? Why is it that whenever you see lists of like albums that people love, which are their favorite 5 Sparks albums, they're very diverse, but this one almost always seems to be there. And I'm just wondering what people think about that. Why is it that this album has resonated so deeply?
Because it just shows the sheer variety. Well, I think Ron just has a never-ending well of ideas that he comes up with, and he'll never exhaust it. I mean, look, how old are they now? They're in their 70s, and they're still going strong and still writing some awesome lyrics. I mean, who writes a song like "Nothing is as good as they say it is"? Like, I love that. I love how they're just still like you can see it. I think you could see it back then that they were going to have such a long career, that it shows that he's never going to exhaust those ideas.
Well, the music, I mean, everything to me just came perfectly. Kimono kind of started that when this was like everything gelled together perfectly. The album cover again, the visuals of it, and I guess because I just like a lot of words, this had it.
Mhm.
I looked at the insert and sang all the lyrics all the time. With my little turntable back then, because that's what we had was albums before CDs. I wore out a couple of versions of Propaganda. I know I did.
I think another thing that helps with their earlier albums is, like Propaganda and Kimono, they're probably under about 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes.
Mhm.
And I think later albums like A Steady Drip, 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 which I love, I just think if it was a little shorter, it would have made for an even greater album. And I think that's why I love The Girl Is Crying in Her Latte so much. It's a little shorter than some of those later albums.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good question, Monty. I think for me, I don't know. It might sound cliche, but sometimes the best things can't really be explained. I
Yeah.
think you just know. I mean, I think you just have a certain place in your heart for certain music that you hear and that you end up falling in love with. And I look at their, I'm feel fortunate enough to be able to look at their entire catalog at this point and be able to appreciate different parts of it. Do I love every single thing? No, but I love the majority of what I hear, and I can understand a lot of what I hear, and I can understand why people like different things or are more drawn to different eras, I guess, if you want to call it. But this one just happens to be maybe extra special to me because it's kind of what got me really, really interested in the band. What pulled me in. I like all different kinds of music, all different genres and everything. And I think Sparks is one of those few musical acts that can actually pull off so many different types of music and do it really, really well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's, to me, besides it being my entree into the whole Sparks universe, it's just something unexplainable when you find something like this, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What would be some of your other favorite albums, Heidi, from Sparks?
From Sparks?
Yeah.
Gosh, I love Hello Young Lovers is one of my top favorites, I think. I love Womp That Sucker is another top favorite of mine. Gosh, again, it's really hard. Those are just three that came
Yeah.
out of, quick answer. But yeah. Look at that.
Well, Propaganda #1.
Angst in my pants.
Yeah,
I love that one.
Love #1 in heaven. Yep. FFS is fantastic. Love it. Yeah. Yeah, it's so, to me, it's rare when you find a band that is still putting out such phenomenal material. They don't have like their golden age of Sparks where, this is the time everybody wants to go back to because it was just this one brief moment where things were so great and everything else has been mediocre that followed. It's like, no, they have consistently, in my opinion, released super amazing quality material.
Yep.
That is such an interesting point.
Mhm.
Up through #1, introducing, I kind of thought, okay, that was their golden period because those 2 albums and then Indiscreet just stood out.
Mhm.
But then came #1 in heaven.
Yeah, which
It's
was a
like,
whole
oh,
different.
okay. And you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And then I think their last album is one of my top 5 or 6.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's them. The music is a vehicle for their vision, whatever that
It's
vision
#7.
may be.
It's
Yeah, I
7.
saw it. Your top 10. It's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was, when each album came out, Kimono, Propaganda, I loved Indiscreet. I loved Big Beat, even though it was a huge change. Introducing Sparks, I loved, and it was totally different from Big Beat. And then #1 in heaven, I absolutely loved. The first disappointing one for me was Terminal Jive, but it was still good.
But yeah, that's probably the lowest one. Really.
Yeah, because it didn't have the Mael's personality, right? It wasn't.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah.
I still I love it because, again, having benefit from the whole picture and the visuals, the videos. I mean, When I'm With You was one of the first
That's a great
videos
song.
that I saw. And of course, being me, I just fell in love with Russell and Ron, just their image and everything. And it just made me want to consume more and more. I need to have more of this band.
Yeah. When I'm With You, I never feel like garbage.
Yes,
I know.
It's perfect. I wish I had known that when I had gotten married. I would have put that on our wedding mix.
Yeah.
Because it's perfect. It's
I
genius.
always need a shower.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of sappy, unrealistic love songs where they're like, I would climb the highest mountain and swim the sea and stuff. And I don't like that stuff.
Out of like 300 or whatever it is songs, I think they have about 5 of them.
And With All My Might, that's basically a straight up love song, and I think that's excellent.
I love that song.
He even says, you may go one day, you may go, which is, to me, that's more of a realistic love song than anything, and I love that about them. It's realistic.
Are you talking about With All My Might?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was one of the first ones I played my wife, who had a Spark single when I met her.
Oh,
so that was kind of like, okay, there's something here. But but when that album came out, and when I met her, that was one of the first ones that I played her, and we danced to it, and it's just such an amazingly beautiful song.
It is.
Yeah,
I don't know why that should have been a hit single.
It should have been.
Yeah.
I know. It's a great song.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorites from the time. But going back to when I found Kimono, right? It was such just a change in everything in my life. Everything exploded. But then Propaganda kind of took it home. Those two cemented that this is my band. I mean, if Kimono was pretty much 99%, and then this was like, nope, that's it. This is going to be your band, and I think that's why. I don't know. And for me, I like it a little bit better than Kimono just because the songs or whatever, and the cover, love the cover.
The one thing I do love more about Kimono than Propaganda is Martin Gordon's Rickenbacker. I think
that's true.
I love the sound of that. And not that Ian Hampton, he's excellent on the bass, of course, but I do miss that Rickenbacker sound on Propaganda.
Yeah. But if we're talking about the band, then you got to give props to Dinky.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
always loved Dinky.
Yeah,
Love
what
his
he did.
name.
Yeah, yeah, and just
He's a drummer.
he was a drummer with attitude, but it was always within the context of the band, and
Yeah.
he
Here's my
understood
little
what the males were looking for. They
Yeah.
found the
all
right
my
Yeah,
guy.
I
might
had that
single.
I have
single.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, a little with all my might single.
Yeah.
When I'm with you single.
What was the B-side to that one?
With all my might. Let's see.
Sports or?
I have sports. Sparks in the Dark.
Oh yeah, you know,
Oh.
instrumental. Yeah.
That's Morris's favorite Sparks song.
It's like, well, yeah,
So,
listen to that one too.
But even songs I used to dislike, like "Everybody Move." I used to think that was the stupidest, lamest. But now I love it. You know, like all these years later.
It does happen like that. My husband always says like it hasn't revealed its worth yet, So I kind of, try to remind myself to not say, well, I don't like that. Just be like, it
Yeah.
hasn't revealed its worth yet.
It'll
So,
grow on you.
Yeah.
Like Ron might say, you may not like it now, but wait,
right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
it
right.
will haunt you in your dreams.
Yeah.
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 So let's talk about a couple of the low ones, like Fingertips.
Yeah. That's probably my one of my least favorite Sparks
Because
songs.
it's
Yeah,
cover and
yeah.
it's, like why?
Yeah.
I probably have the single though. I mean, I would buy everything that I saw of Sparks. If I went to a store and it's like a dance music and they have some of these Sparks 12 inches, and I'll buy it. But I didn't play it. I just
Yeah, that's
have
what I've
it.
been doing this past year. Anywhere I go, it's something says Sparks on it. I'm like, mine.
Yeah, I know. I try around here, but they don't have anything Sparks. Either nobody around here bought it or they're hanging on. I'm not
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's worth mentioning the B-sides of some of these.
Yeah, I was just going to bring
Oh,
that
yeah.
up. "Marry Me" and "Alabama Right." They are just they would have been perfect on the album.
In the CD era, they would have been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think
and they
that,
were.
those are fantastic songs. And to me,
Yeah.
I feel like Marry Me is one of the saddest Sparks songs. I just get such a sad feeling from that song just listening to it. So
I lump both of those right between Never Turn Your Back on Mother Earth and Atu. It's right in between with
Alabama, right?
maybe Albumy Right being just a little under Marry Me. I like under Marry Me just a little bit more. But that's where they would place, right between 8 and 7 here.
Yeah,
and also the same year, "Barbecuity," of course, and
Barbecuity.
probably my favorite B-side is "Lost and Found."
Yeah, I love that song.
Oh,
I love that.
so good.
And because they were B-sides, you didn't have the lyrics necessarily,
Yeah.
right? So I'm gonna be singing nonsense things until I figured it
Well,
out. But
here's an interesting thing. Here's obviously this is the 45 of Achu, right?
yeah,
And what is the
Me
B-side
too.
to this? Something for the Girl with Everything.
Everything. Yeah.
How does that even happen? I mean, they got the cover wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you start going through and wait, that's from the other album. So
And probably Sparks' weirdest song is "The Wedding of
that is
Kennedy to Russell Mael."
I was so excited to get that single just to get that, and then I listened to it and went,
I never heard that one.
Yeah.
Oh, you never heard it?
It's called
send it
what?
to
The
you.
Wedding of
The
Wedding of
Wedding.
to Russell Mael?
of Jacqueline Kennedy to Russell Mael.
it's not, to me, it's not
Okay.
even really a song, more like a performance.
That's what I was thinking. It's just a performance piece.
Kind of a little self-indulgent. I don't know, but just
Let's put that on the single. Some
Yeah.
some whack job will buy it because it's our song.
Kick-ass live version, Morris on the live album, on the Two Hands One Mouth album.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
You don't wanna miss
still
that.
So many I need
That's
to
true.
get still.
But yeah, you remind me. I mean, I'm looking at that one. Go, oh yeah, But it was Sparks, and I had to have it. Not, and I listened to it once, and I said, okay, I've heard it.
And then I remember ordering "I Want to Hold Your Hand" by Sparks, and I was thinking, it
have
would
that
be,
too.
I love the Beatles; they're my favorite band, and so I go to play it, and it's this schmaltzy, like really corny. And at first, I don't know. I love it now.
Yeah.
It's
And I don't know if
satire.
they did that. I think they
I'm
did that
convinced it's satire.
sincerely, right?
Yeah.
Or do you think they did it as a joke?
I always thought it was just
Well,
satire.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think it's
I
more
didn't-
sincere.
What's that?
I think it's more sincere than
Yeah.
corny. Than I don't think they're joking. I think they do appreciate that song, and why would
They
they
just made
not
it
do it?
different. Yeah.
It's so over the top.
It is exactly
so
that's
over the
what I
top.
was gonna say. I think that I didn't appreciate it definitely the first time I heard
Yeah.
it. I was just kind of like, ooh. But the more I listened to it, I was like, this is actually
Yeah.
it's well done.
Yeah.
But I have to say that it does make me laugh a bit when I
Yeah.
hear it, especially the part
Oh,
where
you.
Russell sings, when I touch you, and then the background vocals are the women going, touch me, it just makes me laugh every time.
It's great but in my mind, it's clearly meant to just be over the top and
Yeah.
making just
Overproduced,
Yeah.
everything.
yeah. They went all in. I love it.
Yep.
And England is another great track from
I love that
around the
song,
same
too.
time. Yeah.
England and Profile was a little later, but still, I love that too.
Mhm.
If it's England, I found England,
Nice.
and I backed with "I Want to Hold Your Hand."
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So before we end this, anything else? Before we'll talk about the different channels and all that. Anything else, Monty?
The only thing I'd add is why I think it's endured and it's so special. It's very personal. Is that like that and Kimono were just such a powerful tandem coming together, literally for me, hearing it as one whole, and it was just everything about it was just so well done, and I couldn't decipher it then, but I could just listen to it and say this. Somehow I could relate it to it as a 14-year-old kid, even though now I have no idea how I related to it as a 14-year-old kid, but it seemed to hit me. And I think everybody just has a strong reaction to it because you hear such amazing craftsmanship, such amazing beauty. And then Russell cannot be underestimated. And I think it's just one of those truly, not just a great Sparks album, just a great album.
And it rocks too.
It does rock.
With guitars.
Yeah. I mean, I like
rock.
Yeah, I like both. Yeah, they did both rock, and there were short songs, which my short attention span, got me. It's like, okay, good, and it's over, and I'm like, I wasn't bored.
Right, exactly.
I didn't wander off. Didn't have time. But I agree with Monty.
And what do you think is up next for Sparks' next album? Do you think they're going to totally change again, or
why wouldn't they? They can do anything.
It's like a country album.
Nah, I hope not.
Who knows? They may be a country song. Who knows? I mean, I would hate to think that we could pigeonhole them in any particular way.
True.
I think
if they do a country album, it'd probably be the best country album.
Yeah.
Monty's going now.
I'd still buy it. So
I would too. Like obviously I bought all those wacky singles,
I would really love them to just put out another rock album like Angst in My Pants type. But
yeah,
that would be amazing.
Oh yeah,
it would be because we're rockers here, really, at heart.
Yeah.
But I love
all of us have accepted that it's about them and whatever they do, it's their vision. And it's like Latte is such an amazing piece after all these years.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be something different. I think that they really never stick with a style more than 3 albums, and I just feel like they're ready at this point in their career. So I don't know what it will be.
So Monty, what do you think about them being on this new record label? Do you think this is good for them, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and why is that?
Yeah, I think they wanted to just. I was thinking about this because I was thinking, it was probably at first my thought was, Virgin didn't want them to do another record, but then I thought they may. At first I thought they didn't want to stick with Virgin, but then I thought it's probably more complicated than that because they said, well, here's what we're doing. They already finished the album, and Virgin said, I can't sell that, and so they said, okay, we'll find another way to get our music out there. So that gets me very excited.
Yeah.
And then they're doing the musical, right?
Yeah.
Another one with John Woo. So
Hmm.
All right. So to end this, Morris, tell us about your channel and what's upcoming on your channel.
Well, as you know, my channel, I talk about my favorite type of stuff. I like talking about music mostly because that's my favorite subject of all time. But I do a little bit of personal videos here and there. I'm trying to change it up. I don't like to stick to one niche. I'm trying to change it up all the time. But I do have
I will say, Morris, your knitting tutorials are excellent.
Mhm. But I do also have a contest going on where I'm asking people to write me a kind of a short little poem, not very long. And I mean, I want it to be about music, but it doesn't necessarily have to be about music. You can make it about whatever you want. No more than like 180 words tops, you know. And yeah, so as many entries I can get, the deadline will be on the 28th, and I'll be doing a draw for the my top five favorite poems slash lyrics, because I'm planning on trying to make some music with that, like, you know, try to make a song out of it. I'm learning how to play music. I'm learning how to play this keyboard I got,
Cool.
but it's not long enough. I need more keys. So that's all I have to say about that.
And that's for a $100 Amazon gift card, right?
Absolutely, yes.
That's
Yep.
cool.
Ooh.
Very nice.
And Monty?
Well, first, let me just say Morris's channel is great, and
Check it out.
he's always promoting my show and yours, Larry. And so, just a big hearty thank you for that, Morris. It's really cool when you come up with something and you give me a little shout out. I love it, so I really appreciate it. And Morris was a guest on my show a little while ago, and he was awesome. As far as my show, unlike Morris, it's in a niche, and I don't change it up at all. But
You shouldn't.
I do change up. There's 2 or 3 themes it's called Sparks Entertainment and Art. It's on YouTube. Please subscribe. There's also a Facebook page where you can keep up with the show. There's lots of other good social media. But my plan is in the next couple of years is to write a book. I have 2 or 3 themes. It's very thematic. It's not a history. It's not it's not just a review of all their albums. It's got a couple of themes I really want to explore, and I'm using the show in part for 2 things. One is to just hear from all these amazing musicians and fans about their connection to the band, and that's the main reason. But it's also helping me organize my thoughts and to develop the themes that I already have in my mind that I want to develop, because I feel like there's a story about this band that has not yet been told. And I'm not saying I have the definitive word. I'm just saying there's my story about them. After listening to them for 55 years or whatever it is, 50 years, there's a story to be told. And so just hearing from the guests and hearing, like when Morris pulled out his lists that he just showed us and went through them all, I loved that. It was amazing.
I
And
know.
then hearing from on the other spectrums, hearing from David, Ira Robbins, the publisher of Trouser Press, and then hearing from people like David Kendrick, who was their drummer during those great 80s years. So it's just been great, and it's something I really enjoy. And I think if you're a Sparks fan, check it out. You will enjoy it, I think. And that's it on my show. Is that too long, Larry?
That is
You
a
want me
bit
to do a
too
take
long,
2
but
and
I'll edit it out.
I can do a take 2 and do the whole thing in like 10 seconds.
No, that's okay. That's good.
Okay.
Heidi, tell us about your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I can tell you about my YouTube channel. I'll try not to be long-winded because I know I could talk about this forever, probably. But our YouTube channel is called So I Married a Record Collector. It was born out of my husband and I we've been doing a radio show, a bi-weekly Friday night radio show at WNMC.org for the past 17 years, where we have been kind of forcing our musical taste onto the public that want to listen. And ever since I became a Sparks fan, Sparks are featured in every show. I make sure to at least get one Sparks tune in there. But our channel is basically me and my husband going through his massive record collection. that I became a co-owner of, I guess, when we got married, and kind of going through his collection, figuring out all the stories behind the records that he's accumulated in his lifetime, and just getting the stories behind them, his personal connection to them, and all the little factoids and things that he's got rolling around up in his head that I thought needed a place for other people to hear and enjoy those things as well. And you also get to hear a little bit about my quest in finding all the Sparks albums, which has been my goal, and I'm almost there. So yeah, it's been fun.
It's a great show.
Thank you.
And Joe, tell us about your excellent YouTube channel.
Last but least, here's the thing. I think I'm a great guest on other people's channels. I don't have I guess I have a lot of things that I like to do.
Yeah.
And so I can't focus enough to do just a YouTube channel of my own, because it's like, I drum. I'm a taiko drummer, Japanese drummer. I do drum circles, sing, drink too much coffee, but I'm a great guest. I've been on Larry's shows before, Monty and Christian's thing, so I'm a great guest. I'm available for guest spots until I figure it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
One other thing, on Sparks' official YouTube channel, they've been posting the songs from Introducing Sparks.
Mhm.
I wonder if there's something coming up with that particular album. Monty?
I don't know, but what is that about? I don't understand it. What's a visualizer?
It's basically I know it's just the eyes blinking has been the only visual thing that I've seen on the video.
Me too.
And initially, I had saw a big surprise was being released, and I thought, oh, maybe this is a hint. We're going to get some sort of big surprise. But then the post came saying that yes, we will be releasing 70s material in this format, but not really saying why they're doing it.
Interesting.
I don't understand it. I just figure it's because I'm really old. This is like something those kids do. Those kids like the males.
Yeah.
In their spare time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Joe, you got to tell me what you want to come on the show and talk about.
Yeah, I know. Because I know I haven't been on your show. Of all the people that I know, and I thought, I don't know, maybe I should just drive up to your house.
Got an open invitation.
Yeah.
He's in Maryland. I'm in Pennsylvania, but it's a drive, 4 hours. Been there before.
Larry, somehow we haven't had you on yet. We haven't found just the right topic. And Heidi, come on the show.
Yeah.
I'd love to. That'd be fun.
Okay. We'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, I love to hear everybody else. I'm like, I don't think like that, especially like Paul, right? It's like,
Right.
I
have to say that Paul is very frustrating because I don't agree with him a lot, but it's when you hear him lay it out, it's like, this guy's a genius.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
that's a British
maybe
accent.
it is all connected. Maybe it is in one big thread that they. Yeah.
I don't feel that it's necessarily the end all be all truth of it all.
No, not.
I don't think any of us can ever really know. We can't crawl inside Ron's brain and try to figure everything out, because even if he does say it's about this, he could be just pulling our legs, basically.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty fantastic that someone can look at the whole career and be able to come up with this theory, and then it actually does make some sense.
When he lays it out, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I love his lyrics, like for the decline and fall of me, where he's basically talking about failing on the music charts. Like I said, what other songwriter talks about failing, right?
Or collecting frozen pizzas,
He's got a hobby at least, right?
And those snow globes, don't forget those. Or hand sanitizer.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That was great.
Pretty sure Decline and Fall of Me is going to be in my head for the next 5 hours.
Yeah. Me too.
I don't mind that at all. It's one of my top favorites.
It's like, I haven't heard that lately. Let's listen to that for a month.
Okay, so thanks everybody. I'll be posting this tomorrow, right, Monty?
Yes.
On the 9th.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thanks
Just
for
share
inviting.
it on the site.
Yeah.
And I'll share the Jim Wilson, and then there's at least 2 blog posts and a couple other things too. So
okay.
Good.
And make sure you check out everybody's YouTube channel. And thank you all for watching. And Be sure to leave a comment below, and thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
for having us, Larry.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. No, it was fun. I love this.
Thanks, but no thanks. No, I'm just kidding.
Bye.
Bye.